Hey guys, I'm reviewing the relationship between Jim Jones and his longtime girlfriend, living girlfriend, Chrissy Lampkin. Now, they have been together longer than most marriages. She is now 51 years old. So now Chrissy says she does not want to rush to the altar. Remember, Chrissy had proposed to Jim some number of years ago and he did not marry her. Although she proposed to him, he did not accept. I think anybody in that situation, any woman in that situation, would have been so humiliated that it would have ended the relationship. But oh no, not Chrissy. She stayed. And this was public humiliation because she proposed to him on television. You can't love a person to the point where you would be humiliated to that level and still stay in that relationship. And I think that was the turning point for Jim. He knew she would stay no matter what. I think when Jim did not accept her proposal, she should have left the house immediately, packed her things, left the house, and Jim would have married her. You have to take a stand and call his bluff. When you give a man or a woman an ultimatum and you back off, they're not going to go to the next point, to the next level in the relationship. That's where it's going to stop. So when Chrissy proposed to Jim and he did not accept, she should have cut her losses at that point and agreed to be friends. Move on with her life, let him move on with his, because obviously what he's looking for in a wife, in his head, she does not have. She have everything else to make him happy, for him to stay with her. But a wifey material, she doesn't have. So now he's asking her to marry him. Only because now she's threatening to leave. And the reason why I say that is because they've been together longer than most marriages. And he still did not ask her to marry him. Only recently, when she said she don't want to get married anymore, that's when now he's insisting that they get married. And the only reason I believe he wants to get married is because the pressure is off. And a lot of guys are like that. The minute they know the woman is no longer interested and she's going to go there and find somebody else, that's when they want to tie the knot, to hold that woman down. In Jim Jones' case, I believe he wants to get married to her, to keep her on a string again. Promise of marriage again. Oh yes, I want to get married now, and it's going to be the next 10 years before he walks down the aisle, if ever. It's just to hold her. This promise that he's making now, that he does want to get married, and if she buys into it again, it's going to be another 10 years of her life with him unmarried. Marriage is something that Chrissy really, really wants. And for her to say she no longer wants to get married to him, it's not because she don't want to get married, but she's tired of being strung along with promises to be married. She should have made this stand earlier when she was 40, but it's never too late. You got to make a stand sometime. And I hope she's not making this stand to push him into marriage. He have to want to get married on his own. She should be making this stand because she's gotten tired and she wants out. So Chrissy recently announced that she and Jim Jones are not rushing to the altar. Well, some people are happy the way the relationship is unmarried. A lot of people say as soon as you get married, that's when it all goes down the hill, down the drain, and the relationship is over. So I don't blame her for now changing her mind, because you know what? Marriage is just a little piece of paper. And if your relationship is standing strong, then you don't need it. But I guess for Chrissy, she just needed validation that this man would take her down the aisle, because that's the ultimate end goal in any relationship. Are you going to marry me or not? And this is the way society have it all set up in women's head, that the relationship is only good if you marry me. But that's not necessarily true. We've been conditioned to believe that without marriage, the relationship is not valid. And in order to be validated, marriage is the end result. But when you examine it, it's just a piece of paper. And if your relationship is standing strong, you really don't need it as long as you're committed to each other. So when Chrissy said that she doesn't want to marry Jim Jones anymore after years of pressuring him publicly to marry her, she has a change of heart. Everybody assumed that, oh, she wants to go there and find another man and she's tired of Jim. And that's not true. All she's saying is, marriage does not validate my relationship with Jim. We are happy the way we are. And as a matter of fact, I would suggest to Chrissy, if you and Jim really want to do it without the public scrutiny, go quietly to City Hall and just get married and call it a day. And when you choose to come out and say you're married, then you can have maybe a ceremony for family and friends, because it would be more for them than Chrissy and Jim, because they've been together for so long. They don't need it. They don't need validation that they love each other. These two love each other. There's no doubt in my mind. But like I said before, society has put in the pressure on women that without marriage, the relationship is not valid. I know the mom is involved, and Chrissy butts head with the mother every now and again, but that is not a factor to me, because in a lot of relationships, daughter-in-laws and mother-in-laws don't get along. And if she and Jim Jones are together this long, then the mother can't break them up, no matter what she does, no matter what ish she talks about. Because at the end of the day, the mother is not sleeping with Jim Jones. It's Chrissy who is sleeping with him. And that's what counts in his head. He loves his mother, but guess what? His woman comes first. So like I said before, she and Jim should just go quietly to City Hall, get married without anybody being the wiser. And when people say, when are you guys getting married? They should just look at them and smile, because they would know the truth. But from a woman's point of view, if I was with this man for over a decade, and now I turned 51, and he's still dragging his leg about getting married, and if we're in a good place and I don't see it's necessary to get married, I would stay with him. But if I wanted to get married and he's dragging his leg, honey, I would pack my bags and say, Sarah freaking Nara, call it a day. Move on to somebody else who wants to get married and for us to live happy ever after. But Chrissy said that's not the mind space she's in right now. She just is in a beautiful relationship with Jim, and they're happy the way things are right now. So you got to respect that. So folks need to stop asking if and when they're going to get married. Some people never get married and they're perfectly fine. They're happy. As a matter of fact, their relationship lasts longer than most people who are married. So leave them alone and let them live their best life. And you people who keep asking, I'm talking about those in social media who reports on these type of stories like TMZ, they're always crying. So folks need to quit asking, let these two live out their best life. So Jim Jones recently appeared on Kitchen Talk, which is a little podcast, and he was asked about his relationship with Chrissy Lampkin and their 18 years relationship. And during the interview, he received a phone call from Chrissy, which opened the door to a conversation about their relationship. So he was asked if he had that feeling for Chrissy when he first met her, and he said, yeah. She was a chick from Harlem who was always fly, and yeah, I had an immediate crush on her. And then he said he was a little bit younger, but it didn't matter, in spite of what was out there, a younger guy dating an older woman, but the age difference is not that far apart. According to Wikipedia, Jim Jones is 46 and Chrissy is 51, so maybe that's what's holding him back. Maybe he feels he's too young to hook up with a woman who is 5 years older. because some guys figure, their Mrs. Right is around the corner at that age. They're not going to throw in the towel and close that chapter. Maybe he's waiting for somebody else to come along. Some guys do that. They hold you on a string until that ideal person comes along. So women really need to wise up. Women need to know that your younger years and your most beautiful years, when you can attract a man, should not be spent trying to make one man marry you, if that's what you want. You should cut your losses early on. Give it a timeline. Let's say you dated somebody for 1 or 2 years and you don't see it's going anywhere. You know the relationship is solid. You know that you're marriage material. You know that he's lucky to have you, and vice versa. And if that person is dragging their legs and maybe next year, maybe 2 years from now, they're just holding you on a string, waiting for somebody else better. And before you know it, you're going to be like Chrissy, 18 years invested and stuck. But you got to pry yourself loose and move on. So Jim Jones and Chrissy have been together since 2004. And they've been through the ups and the downs, and nothing tore them apart. So if they weathered the storm up to now, 2022, these two are in it for the long haul. So although Chrissy keeps saying in her interviews that you're in a good space, marriage is not for everybody, she has a change of mind that she doesn't want to get married anymore. I think that's all talk. I think she does want to get married because she put emphasis and priority on it early in the relationship. And I think she does not want to commit to a marriage with Jim and then have egg on her face again, because she remembered the last time she proposed to him and the backlash, and she was just humiliated because he did not commit. He did not say, yes, I will marry you. He just kind of put his face down, cover his face, and shaking his head and all kinds of ish. And to me, it was so humiliating for her. I felt for her. And if I was her, I would not put myself in that position ever again. Not with Jim Jones. But at the end of the day, they both are happy. And that's what's important. That's what counts. He did buy her a ring. And that was like a promise to marry you. He bought her an engagement ring. But it just reminds me of those guys. One of them guys who they're going to promise marriage for like 10 years. And when you put them on the spot, they go get you an engagement ring. And it's another 10 years before they even contemplate marriage again. And when they're pushed to the edge, then they say, okay, I'm ready to get married. But by that time, the woman may have changed her mind. So Jim did go out and get Chrissy an engagement ring. And he said his love for her is unconditional. However, to date, they still have not tied the knot. And maybe they're doing like Goldie Hawn. For a long time, she didn't marry her husband. And then I think they were like in their 60s when they did decided to call it a day and just go down the aisle and make it official. Maybe that's what they're going to do. And in the 18 years they've been together, they have no children together. Can you imagine? It could be that's what's holding him up. Maybe he wants to make sure that she can bring kids into the world before he make that final step. Because for a lot of women, it's about loving this man and walking down the aisle and wearing that pretty dress. And for a lot of guys, it's their legacy. They want to make sure they leave kids to carry on their name. So it's apples and oranges. But I have a feeling that's what he's waiting on, to see if she can have children. So it's been reported by E! News that Jim now wants to get married and Chrissy does not. But I have a feeling she does not want to get married because she wants to spite him. This is all alleged, but that's the feeling I'm getting. So during Jim's interview, he said, I've always been a man of my family. So all I know how to do is to try to support and try to make money. I don't want you to think I'm selfish in any way because I love you more than I could love anything in this world. It's been a long road, he says to Chrissy. So Chrissy agrees and she said to Jim that I agree with you, but at this point it has to stop. So I guess she's throwing in the towel and calling it a day. That's what it sounds like. Because I believe Chrissy is just feeling as though he's still trying to gaslight her, promising to marry her, and then, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, it's still going to be the same old promise. He's never going to, I can't say never, but he's not walking down the aisle anytime soon. So the bottom line is the fact that they're still talking about it, they're still arguing about it publicly, tells me that she's not okay with not being married. You've been brought up in a certain mindset as a young girl that you're going to take care of your family, you're going to get married, etc. And so that's stuck in her head. So she's still not okay with it. In spite of what she says that she's okay with not getting married and they're in a good place. They're not in a good place because they're still arguing publicly about her getting married. So YouTubers, join the conversation. Drop your comments. Let's discuss this further. If you were in a relationship with a man and he had you dangling on the string for 18 years, would you stay that long until you get to middle age? Because 51 is middle age. When she turned at 60, she'll be old age, an old woman, still waiting for marriage. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion. She should have cut her losses when she turned 40 or 45. But way back then. Anywho, YouTubers, I'm over and out. Drop your comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and to this video. Thank you for watching.